Hello guys, welcome to my channel Psychology Point. Today we are talking about the psychology of people who come alive at night. So let's start. The clinical literature establishes a strict baseline regarding sleep timing. Individuals who naturally stay awake late into the night suffer a severe penalty. They consistently report higher rates of anxiety, depression, and general psychological distress compared to early risers. Yet cognitive testing reveals a sharp contradiction. When evaluated on objective metrics, evening chronotypes, the natural night owls, consistently score higher on tests measuring fluid intelligence, working memory, and analytical reasoning. This cognitive advantage holds up at scale. Analysis of the UK Biobank cohort, utilizing medical and cognitive data from over 26,000 adults, confirmed the eveningness advantage. Even after adjusting for age, health conditions, and substance use, night owls scored up to 13.5% higher on cognitive test batteries. They demonstrate superior spatial reasoning and significantly faster information processing speeds. This leaves us with a glaring statistical contradiction. The demographic exhibiting the highest cognitive capacity is simultaneously the most vulnerable to psychiatric collapse. This tension forces us to reevaluate the condition historically known as Nyctophilia, the intense psychological preference for darkness and nighttime wakefulness. We have to determine whether the pull of the night is a psychiatric hazard or a deeply ingrained evolutionary risk. To deconstruct this paradox, we have to look past sleep schedules and map the exact neurobiological pivot point, where nighttime isolation turns from a sanctuary into a threat. This conceptual model maps the risk pathway. To understand the connection between the evening chronotype and psychiatric vulnerability, we will isolate three specific variables: sensory processing profiles, circadian execution, and prefrontal disinhibition. Mapping this structural equation allows us to distinguish between the destructive habits of the night and its potential as a restorative sanctuary. We begin with the biological drive toward the dark. For many night owls, the preference for eveningness correlates strongly with a measurable personality trait known as sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. Functional MRI scans of individuals with high SPS reveal heightened activation in specific brain regions. Their insula, often considered the seat of conscious awareness, and their mirror neuron systems light up significantly more in response to subtle environmental cues. Because these neural pathways are highly active, the brain engages in constant deep cognitive processing of all physical, social, and emotional stimuli. Every shift in a room's lighting, every background noise, and every subtle facial expression is absorbed and analyzed. This neurological porousness has a cost. Operating with an ultrasensitive receptor system leads to severe taxation of the central nervous system during normal daytime hours. The sheer volume of incoming data quickly drains their physiological reserves. To prevent total systemic collapse, these individuals require a state of understimulation. This is a biological necessity for an environment with zero external demands, allowing the overtaxed nervous system to shift from hyperarousal back to a baseline of calm. The nighttime hours naturally manufacture this environment. When the sun sets, social expectations are reduced, radiation cease, phone notifications stop, and ambient environmental noise drops to near zero. Through this lens, Nyctophilia is a logical, necessary biological coping mechanism. It provides the exact environmental deficit required to prevent sensory overload. But an ideal sensory environment does not fully explain the cognitive paradox. We know evening chronotypes possess measurable advantages in fluid intelligence and processing speed. Plotting chronotype against performance shows cognitive ability trending upward for night owls, while academic achievement drops sharply. The mechanism driving this is social jet lag. A standard 8 a.m. start time clashes directly with their delayed peak performance curve. Forcing an evening chronotype to adhere to early daytime obligations attacks their phase angle of entrainment, the temporal relationship between their internal biological clock and external schedules. The result of this misalignment is chronic, compounding sleep debt. This fatigue severely limits their capacity for executive execution, effectively neutralizing their intellectual advantages in a real-world setting. The academic and professional failures frequently observed in evening types stem from a systemic failure of circadian alignment, not a deficit in intellect. We must examine the neurological dangers of remaining awake during the biological night. A massive Stanford University study mapped the hazards of nocturnal wakefulness. For decades, clinical guidance relied on the mismatch hypothesis, assuming night owls would maintain their mental health if they simply slept late into the morning to secure 8 hours of rest. The data proved this false. Going to bed late elevates psychiatric risk, regardless of total sleep duration. This risk is governed by the mind after midnight hypothesis. Remaining awake during the hours your biological clock expects sleep structurally alters your brain chemistry. Prolonged post-midnight wakefulness induces a state of severe prefrontal disinhibition. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for executive function, rational decision-making, and emotional regulation, begins to shut down. We can observe this metabolic shift in EEG data. When a subject remains awake after midnight, monitors detect an accumulation of low-frequency delta and midline theta waves over the prefrontal cortex. The presence of these specific frequencies indicates that the rational, executive centers of the brain are slipping into a state of local sleep, even while the body remains conscious. Without top-down regulation from the prefrontal cortex, subcortical regions take over. The brain becomes heavily biased toward negative emotional salience, poor impulse control, and compromised decision-making. Staying awake after midnight structurally compromises the brain's ability to regulate emotion. It creates a fertile biological ground for anxiety and depressive thought loops, neutralizing the protective benefits of high intelligence. A study from Brigham Young University identifies the exact statistical variable that determines whether nocturnal wakefulness leads to a psychiatric disorder. Researchers utilize structural equation modeling to track the exact behavioral pathway, leading from a natural evening preference to clinical anxiety. The model yielded a critical breakthrough. The direct link between being a night owl and experiencing anxiety becomes statistically non-significant the moment a new variable is accounted for: nocturnal loneliness. Nocturnal loneliness is distinct from physical isolation. It occurs when an individual perceives the silence and physical separation of the night as a painful lack of meaningful social connection. The prefrontal disinhibition of the mind after midnight only spirals into a clinical disorder if the brain is actively filtering its environment through the lens of loneliness. The late hour acts merely as a multiplier. The true hazard is the acute state of social disconnection. But recognizing this gives us an alternative pathway. If isolation is the trigger, the solution lies in a framework known as positive solitude. Rooted in self-determination theory, positive solitude frames time spent alone as a voluntary behavioral choice. It satisfies the core human need for autonomy, converting empty hours into purposeful isolation. This environment is ideal for default mode network activation. However, this system functions most effectively when the executive brain is occupied by a low-effort, repetitive process, preventing the mind from falling into negative ruminations. Passive, high-stimulation behaviors, like scrolling on social media, provide no such structure. Instead, they exploit prefrontal disinhibition to trigger impulsive consumption, failing to ground the restless mind. This is why the clinical recommendation for night owls focuses on structured, tactile tasks, like reading, journaling, or manual crafting. These activities tether the executive brain to a physical task, providing the cognitive stability needed for the mind to wander constructively without spiraling. The night is neither inherently toxic nor universally safe. It is a powerful cognitive amplifier. If you choose to stay awake in the dark, you must deliberately manage your biology and your psychology to extract the insight while surviving the silence. Now tell me, are you a night owl? And if so, do you feel sharper and more creative after midnight? Or does the silence eventually start to feel heavy and lonely? Drop a comment below. What do you do during your late night hours? And does it help or hurt your mental health? Okay guys, take care and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.